That's your fast pass. Hi. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. How are you?
I'm good. Oh, let me turn this.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and I'm going to share my screen. Present, share screen, and here we go. Did you know, Tony, which you just brought up to me, that the TSA could charge you $18? $18 if you show up without a real ID.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Well, we are going to California, Glenn, for a Glenn's company Christmas party in December, and he has his passport, so he's fine. And I cannot figure out what I did with mine. And so I'm going to be flying without a real ID because I will not be getting one. So this will be interesting.
I thought I was just not going to fly anymore, to be honest with you. But now, as I've learned today that I could still fly, I just got to cough up a little extra cash to do it.
Yeah, this is supposed to, from what I've been reading, is supposed to make it easier for you. What I'm not real big on is that it's going to be facial recognition. And so they're actually going to be using, God, what was that called? They're going to be using this system to you do facial recognition on you to confirm who you are. And the only thing I haven't quite figured out is that if you pay the $18 or if you don't.
Yeah, this stuff doesn't surprise me. The whole 1984 Big Brother, we're going to watch you. We need to see everything you're doing, everything you're spending money on. Pretty soon. I used to travel a lot. I used to fly around to do campaign trainings and coachings and presentations. And I remember there was a couple airports that I went in, and you could not buy anything with cash. You couldn't use cash at all. There was restaurants and bars and whatever, no cash, absolutely none. And I know there's certain Starbucks that have implemented that cashless,
Yep.
and some other stores, mostly in bigger cities. Here in the sticks where I live, everything's cash money. No one's going to even attempt that.
Well, Starbucks, you can still use cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was a test run at like a certain number of Starbucks locations. They were just doing card only.
Yeah.
So the only way
they want to track it all.
Yep, they want to track it all. They want to track you. It's not good.
Right. We won't even get newer cars. Like, I would rather have old appliances. We fought for a year to keep the smart meter off of our house, because they can track every appliance in your house. And now they're actually having it where you can sign up and you can save. I think it ends up being a whopping $10 a month for them to track all of your appliances, and they watch how much electricity you use. And what I've been telling people forever and ever is that, they're going to monitor your washing machine and your stove. And if they decide that you're using things on peak hours and you need to slow down, they're just going to shut your shit off. Like,
yeah, they do that in California now.
With the heating systems, they've done that. Like, we refuse to do all those things because,
Yep, I've seen that. If it's peak hours, they are changing the thermostats in people's houses.
Yep.
Without their consent, right? But technically, it is consent because they make you sign a form, so they're getting consent some way.
Used to it, right? That's that you're like, oh, that makes sense. Like, I'm gonna save a few bucks, and no, everybody thinks it's so innocent until it starts happening and you're not requesting it.
Yeah.
So that's, that goes right along with the real ID and everything that they want to do with that. Because from what I saw when I was doing a little bit more checking, they already, like, the DMV already pairs up with DHS and swapping information there, and their plan is to link that real ID to everything.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
so if you want, and then of course the government is trying to push through digital currency. So, then your digital currency is going to be tied to your ID, and you're not going to be able to shop if they don't like what you say. They're doing it in Europe.
Yeah. And China as well.
Mm-hmm.
So they've been doing it for a while, the verification, facial recognition, all of that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's too much. It's terrifying. People should be really worried about that.
Yeah, I remember we lived in Spokane 6 years ago, and they had installed the smart meters and everything else on the houses, and it was mandatory, right? You didn't have an option to get out of it. Here where we live, it's more rural out here on the coast, and no one has a smart meter, right? They came by yesterday, a guy in a truck, and he comes out and he reads your meter. He gets back in the truck and drives down the road to the next house.
Yep. I actually
Old
have
school.
to pay. I pay, what is it, like $20 a month extra because I refuse to have a smart meter.
Oh, wow.
So, if you try to opt out of any of this stuff, they charge you for it, and they figure that you'll just give up, right? That's why they're charging the $18. And you know what else this does? And it pisses me off because the way that they talk about it, they're not like, they mention that you can use your passport, and they mention all these other forms of ID that work. But the only thing that they really hit home with is that real ID. That's the only thing that they're really, that they're really talking about. So it reminds me of the vaccines, right?
Yep.
Because nobody ever talks about that you can opt out. They just think it's mandatory when it actually is not. But the way that they talk about it makes you think that it is. Yeah. And, that's unfortunate. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of vaccines, the CDC quietly changed their website today. You sent this over to me.
Yep.
They changed the claims on there. It used to say, here, let me pull it up, what it used to say. It used to say studies have shown that there is no link between receiving vaccines and developing autism spectrum disorder. No links have been found between any vaccine ingredients and autism spectrum disorder. And then fast forward to today, the claim vaccines do not cause autism is not an evidence-based claim based on studies because studies have not ruled out the possibility that infant vaccines cause autism. Studies supporting the link have been ignored by health authorities. HHS has launched a comprehensive assessment of the causes of autism, including investigations into plausible biologic mechanisms and potential causal links. So now they're saying, you know what? It could actually cause autism, and we're going to study it more.
Right. Oh, that is, I'm
huge.
So excited to see that. That is the best thing that made my day today. Yep. Because the thing that kills me about when people, and somebody actually floored me and answered yes to this. I'm like, do you think that the moms, like, they go out of their way to lie and say that their kids have autism and that they watched them regress? And we physically saw it with my cousin's son at 6 months old, go from this energetic little boy who was responding to you to just, nothing. He ended up completely nonverbal. He's coming out of it now. Like, they're working with him really hard, and he's on some different therapies, and he's doing fantastic, but he's still not anywhere near like what normal, right?
Yeah.
Right. He's still severely autistic.
I like what you brought up right there, because you think a mother is just going to lie about that, where her child is perfectly healthy. They go in for their well child shots, right? And they get shot up with 5 different vaccines. And all of a sudden the next day, the kid is overinflamed, red, sweating, like, and completely regressed, or like the infant SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. Like, that's a huge one. Do you think, a mother is going to lie about that? They've actually arrested parents
Yeah.
after that, after their kids have died from SIDS, blaming the parent, like the parent had anything to do with it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy because they can't blame the vaccine, so obviously the parent must have done something to the kid.
Right. Well, and all the crazy things that they make you believe, right? Like, don't put your kid on their stomach. Don't, I remember when my son was young, I had this thing that would hold him in place on his side, right? So that he wouldn't die from SIDS and suffocate himself. Because that's what they said for a long time SIDS was, right? It was
Yep.
lack of oxygen and kids were suffocating themselves, is essentially because they couldn't move their head or some stupid shit like that. It
Yeah,
never
that
made
is.
sense to me ever.
Yeah, that is
Just
just
not at
nuts.
all. It's not even rational, really. So yeah, this was a good one. I saw one other one today that was really good. What was it? Something else Kennedy did. Oh, they actually are now saying that there's peer-reviewed studies confirming that transgender procedures and puberty blockers cause harm.
Oh,
There's
they
another
do.
mind-blowing idea.
Yeah, crazy hormone therapy. Puberty blockers. Like these are disruptors of our natural systems of our health. Disruptors of our health. Going back to vaccines, there is so much more that could be attributed to it. I have a lot of customers here locally, and one gentleman, he went in and got his shingle shot. Right, they recommended an updated shingle shot. Guess what he got the next week? Shingles. He broke out with shingles all down his leg where he got the shot. Broke out with shingles, and he went to his doctor, and his doctor, oh well, that could be a side effect of it. And it's like shingles is a side effect of the shingle shot. You don't want to get shingles. He said it was the most horrible experience. His leg was burning on like you couldn't touch it. Like he couldn't put pants on. Like he could not put pants on. It's crazy. And he stayed inside his house for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I had a friend who had shingles, and 2 months he was in pain, like his whole body, because it's like a nerve thing, right? And so like just that is like terrible.
Yeah, so I pulled it up, and it's a virus that attacks the nerve endings and causes that burning sensation. So, yeah, it's just nuts.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole vaccine thing in general really just kills me. There's too much evidence out there that is and I don't know how you discount everything, especially the moms. Like that's the one that really gets me, is like, how do you tell the moms that they're lying? And people do. They literally do think that the moms are just flat out lying, and it's just, why would you lie about that? I mean, there's what is that one thing, what's that one disease or that mental issue where you pretend like your kid is sick to get attention, right? Unless that's running rampant of these thousands and hundreds of thousands of women who say that, like that's what you would have to imply, is that all of these women are suffering from that.
Yeah. So the entire anti-vaccine movement, the entire health freedom movement, the entire informed consent movement is built off of real negative consequences to these vaccines. Mm-hmm. People don't become passionate about this stuff overnight for nothing. Yeah. Like these women would not give a shit if it didn't personally affect their child.
No.
They wouldn't care.
Going to the doctors and saying no, going to these people that you think, I remember doing this when my daughter was young, going to and telling them no is scary, right? Like going to the people that you think have your best interests in mind and thinking that, and we're always told that they know way more than us. They couldn't possibly, they're going to do no harm. They're here for our good. And telling them, no, I don't believe you. I've learned too much. I've gotten I'm not even kidding. I've gotten in screaming matches with dentists over fluoride.
Hmm.
They don't have a clue where it actually comes from. All of these things. It's so hard to say no and to feel confident in that. So anybody who's gotten there, that is not by accident.
Oh, I
Anybody who's
know it.
saying no isn't saying it because they want to be cool. It's difficult to be on this side of it, and it's difficult to have those views. My entire family thought that we were insane for years. They've
Yep.
only just in the last few years started to understand where we're coming from.
Do you feel vindicated at all?
It's nice to
I,
see, but it's so frustrating, and it
it
still
is.
pisses me off because, like, you have it's like, really, like, you just thought I was stupid or crazy, like
Yeah.
it's hard to. I battle with that one. That one's a catch-22 for me.
Yeah, and I've lost friends over this, but I've had people apologize to me as well.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
cancer's one because I'm so vocal about it that there's a lot of people that say, oh, you're just saying this stuff because you sell products that help people with cancer naturally. Like I'm a snake oil salesman. I've been called that numerous times. But when you see the results of someone who had cancer, no longer has cancer, didn't do chemo and radiation, and it's like, well, but I can't say it,
yeah,
legally. I can't say my products have cured their cancer. The cancer just magically disappeared.
yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and do some self-promotion.
Yeah,
So,
go for it because this is awesome. I love it.
yeah, I was just featured on the Advocates for Self-Government. Michael Pickens shares his thoughts on natural health alternatives to cancer, and they're brilliant. They're brilliant. This is the first time I've been called brilliant. Isn't that great? And there's my dog, the OG.
Oh my God, I love that picture so much.
Yeah, so I was actually on an episode of Food is Freedom podcast, and it's actually a 2-part episode. So there's part 1 and part 2. But yeah, so you can go to theadvocates.org. This was just posted, 5 minutes yesterday. So, anyways,
Let's see. I put it in there. We'll see if I did it right and it shows up on everything.
yeah. So just like we were talking about how mothers who their child has been negatively affected by vaccines and have regressed into autism, right? The same thing with me and cancer. Like both of my grandmas went through chemotherapy and radiation, which they died from.
Yep.
They died from the chemotherapy and radiation. They both got diagnosed with cancer around the same time. One with breast cancer, the other with pancreatic cancer, and they started chemotherapy and radiation the same time. 6 months later, they both died on the same exact day.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
you can't tell me that one with breast cancer and the other with pancreatic cancer, once they started chemo, they both lost their hair, they couldn't keep food down, jaundice in their eyes, same symptoms, different cancers completely, and then they died on the same day. It was Thanksgiving when I was 15 years old.
Goodness. Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? But it's because of that I'm so outspoken.
Yeah.
That is the silver lining, because now I've dedicated my life to helping people and dogs with cancer.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's
unfortunate things turn into blessings, right? Like
but it's
yeah.
Yeah. So the thing is, I'm not passionate about this for no reason.
Right.
I'm not in this just to make money, like a lot of these oncologists are.
Right. Well,
right?
Exactly. That's my mom died from cancer. And my stepdad who raised me, I just call him my dad. So they both died from cancer. My mom actually was my dad was pancreatic cancer. He chose to do no treatments at all, but he also chose to just do nothing. He wouldn't listen to me with any advice or anything. He just chose to do nothing. And so he unfortunately died a very sad death. And then my mother actually died, and I remember being in the hospital because she actually kept it quite a secret. And I remember being in the hospital with her when they said, okay, there's nothing more we can do, we're going to stop treatments. And I was like, good, And the doctor about turned around and fell over because I was like, thank God. Like, I'm so glad that you're going to stop, poisoning her.
Poisoning her. Yep.
I was just, I couldn't keep it. My mom was so pissed. But I was ecstatic. I didn't understand the severity of it and how bad it had gotten. And so I still had hope. I wouldn't let anybody cook for her. I tried to get her to do RSO, and she wouldn't do it. She did start doing it, and actually her numbers did start coming down, and I tried to get her on a good keto diet and stuff. And it's unfortunate. I know somebody right now who's going through bladder cancer, and she was telling me yesterday that she went through double breast cancer also, and she did all of the treatments for that. And this was during COVID. There was 5 of them going through this all at the same time. 4 of them died because I can't say because. 4 of them got the COVID shot and all died. She did not get the COVID shot and made it through.
Oh, and wow.
So I think that says a lot too, about that shot, because, you hear about how it expands cancer and speeds it up.
Yeah, my mom got cancer. She got throat cancer. She got the COVID shot. It caused massive tinnitus in her ears, and then she ended up getting throat cancer. Luckily, she did not listen to her doctor. She did not do chemotherapy and radiation because her mom went through it. Her mother-in-law, my stepdad's mom, went through chemo and radiation. She saw it firsthand twice destroy lives, and she just wouldn't do it. And luckily, she listened to me. She got on our products, changed her diet, and the lump in her throat completely shrunk and disappeared without any surgery, without anything.
So amazing. Yeah. So amazing.
Even, 3 months down the road, when it had shrunk to like 10% of the size, the oncologist still wanted to do surgery, still wanted to cut it out. It's like, and I was telling my mom, like, don't do it. Like, don't do it. It's shrinking. Why would you do that? Why would you let them cut into you? Because then the problem is, if you do a biopsy on that cancer, you do surgery on that cancer, it is going to spread it throughout your body. Cutting into it and getting those cancer cells going throughout the body is not a good thing. And I've seen it happen to people, and I've seen it happen to dogs. And, they get it cut out, and all of a sudden they have cancer in different parts of their body now.
Yeah, it's like when the oxygen hits it, it just explodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's they're literally telling my friend that there's nothing like aside from removing the bladder, there's nothing that they can do, but we should do this chemotherapy in your bladder. And then when you have this chemotherapy, you can't be around your grandkids. You need to stay with your daughter and make sure that when you go to the bathroom, you pour bleach in the toilet and let that set for 20 minutes before you flush it. And just all this insane stuff. And I'm just, just, why would you even want to go through that? Especially when they tell you there's no help. Nothing's going to matter. It's going to come back. And there's nothing you can do about it. That's the part that really makes me angry.
Yeah, because these people don't do the research.
Right.
They're not, they're telling you there's nothing you can do. But they haven't done any research into any alternative therapies at all whatsoever, and they're saying there's nothing you can do. Such bullshit.
Yeah.
Pisses me off.
And changing your diet doesn't really matter, all of these things. It's incredible. It just really, really makes me insane. So, well, what did we do? We went all the way from Real ID to cancer treatments.
Yes, we did. Yeah, it was a lively episode for sure. And we are against all of it.
Right, all of it, every bit of it. We could talk all day about the things that we're against, though, huh?
Yeah. Well, the thing is with the Real ID, it is a violation of privacy. Same thing with mandatory vaccines. It's a violation of our health.
Yeah.
Right? The whole healthcare issue right now, it's like there's people who want universal health care, but guess what? The universal health care is going to come with requirements for vaccinations. It's going to come with specific treatments. Like, for example, we don't have health care, and we don't have it because there is really almost nothing in, you know, allopathic medicine that we would use in our family. Okay.
Rockefeller medicine.
Yeah. Like maybe we would get emergency treatment, right? Just in case there's a car accident, kids broke a leg or something, right? But then you could even negotiate it down, whatever it costs from the hospital, right? So just there's really just no point. So because if I got cancer, you know, I wouldn't use any of their treatments, none of them. So what am I going to pay $2,000 a month for?
Yeah.
We would never use it. And then we have a naturopathic doctor that can also prescribe, as integrative medicine practice, so she can prescribe real drugs if need to. But, it's like $175 an appointment, and the kids go there once a year.
I know, you really,
and that's what it costs.
Because, the only time I've ever really looked is, we've never paid so much for insurance. So the only time I've ever really looked for a naturopath is if our insurance would cover it. So now got me thinking, like, why am I going to the same doctors that aren't any help? My one doctor was pushing me to go get a mammogram, and I was like, I'm not doing a mammogram. I think that's terrible. I'll never do it. Yeah. And she's like, well, and then I said something. I said, I would never do your cancer treatment, even if you found cancer. And she's like, oh, well, then you're right. There's no point. It's like,
she's not going to get her kickbacks.
Right.
She's not going to get her kickbacks by referring you to an oncologist. When we released our canine cancer support package, we did a marketing campaign to all these veterinarians. Most of them wanted nothing to do with us. And there was one veterinarian, Dr. Stuart Gower in Oceanside, New York, that is using our products with dogs. And he told me, and I interviewed him, and he told me that he gets a kickback for sending dogs to an oncologist, a canine oncologist, not just for the treatment, but for the scans also, because the scans are like $3,000 to $5,000.
All right.
He gets a kickback, a percentage on the scans, as a veterinarian referring a dog with cancer. So, and this is the saddest thing, because we talk to people every day that dogs have cancer, and there's people who have spent upwards of $10,000 on diagnosis just to figure out their dog has cancer, and that doesn't do anything to help the dog with treatment.
Right.
And people are putting it on Care Credit, which is a medical credit card with a high interest, right? And they're racking up this debt and get no relief whatsoever, none.
I'm curious, like, do you see, like, common, like, I always hear that the chips in the neck cause cancer.
So I talk to a lot of people, and with cancer, we like to use a holistic approach, right? And that means you look at all of the factors. So there's a lot of things that are the same with dogs that have cancer. One is they're feeding bad food, the dry kibble that you get at Costco, or you get at PetSmart or whatever, the Pedigree or the Old Roy or whatever that is, right? Bad food, okay? And that because those foods contain pesticides and heavy metals and all these bad things. The next issue that we see is tap water. Their dogs are getting fed tap water, and people don't realize it, but you can go to your local municipality, the organization that provides your water, and you can look at the testing, and you'll see the heavy metals in there, and they're adding chlorine and bromide and all these other things to sanitize the water.
Right.
You shouldn't be drinking these chemicals. Right. You absolutely should. Anti-rust chemicals are being put into the drinking water, right? So, that's another thing.
Get a copper pipe.
Yes. So that's another thing, right? Water, they're getting fed bad water. The third thing is over-vaccination. Right now, veterinarians are recommending vaccines, once a year, twice a year. My mom's dogs, right? They all four of them went blind and deaf. Like all four of them over time, she get dog would go blind and deaf and die. She get another dog, it'd go blind and deaf and die. Another dog, blind and deaf and die. Like, and she was doing, she was on the insurance plan that covered vaccines twice a year. So that's another thing, right? The vaccines, over vaccination.
You want to know something really funny? Just to interrupt you really quick.
Sure.
My husky had puppies. We kept 2 of them because we're idiots, and we didn't take them in until they were 3-4 months old. And we got their rabies shot because I can't get them groomed without it. But we have a groomer that's the only one, and we'll never get another vaccine.
Yeah.
They were.
I lied.
I guess. I mean, they like to call the vet though, right?
Oh,
and
gotcha.
That stupid tag. Anyway, when we took them in, they wanted to. I think it was parvo that they wanted to give them the parvo shot, and he kept saying, "I'm not even kidding you." He kept saying it's really important when they're about 7 to 9 weeks old. I'm like, they're 4 freaking months old. I'm like, clearly, you're literally telling me that like this time that's already long gone, you want me to vaccinate them for 7 to 9 weeks when they're 4 months? I'm like, why?
Yes. So I had a cat, and it was around the time when my parents got divorced, right? And my mom got me a kitten, and I got the kitten, and I named it Royal, and because Royal Robbins, he was a hiker and had all this other stuff, and we used to go hiking a lot, and then took it in for the parvo shot. Within 2 days after the parvo shot, the cat was dead.
Wow.
The cat was dead. So that right there is another negative experience in my life that has made me more aware for the future, right? Our dogs have not been vaccinated since we've got them, right? Since we've got the dogs, they haven't been vaccinated, and they're doing great.
Yeah.
Nothing.
My dogs are healthy as can be. There's nothing, unfortunately. Sometimes I wish there was something to slow them down. They're a little crazy, but yeah.
Yeah, my Rottweiler Mastiff, 110 pounds, and Rottweilers and Mastiffs have an average life expectancy of 8 years. And she's 6 years old and still acts like a puppy. She still runs around. Nothing's wrong. And I am very confident that she's going to live way past 8 years.
Yeah.
We feed them real food, real food, clean water, and our supplements. So,
yeah,
I just don't see it happening.
Yeah, when we were really broke years ago, we would feed our dogs, the Costco crap, because I looked at the ingredients on what we had been paying, which was really expensive, and it seemed like it was the same. Well, once most of our dogs had died and we had one left, we switched back to the better food, and she was like a puppy again. It was like a whole, people don't understand how much food really affects you, and not just you, but your animals. Like, they get a lot of our, we feed them. I cook for them.
Yeah, we do too. They eat a lot of the same food that we eat. Yeah. When I make breakfast in the morning, they're eating breakfast. You know what I mean? They need real food. The world's oldest dog was in Portugal and lived to 31 years old. Lived on a farm. The dog ate whatever the humans ate.
Yep.
That's it.
Everybody wants to not feed their dogs human food, isn't that? I mean, I guess if you're not eating good food, I guess.
Yeah, you don't want to feed them, Pop-Tarts.
Doing that.
Yeah, Pop-Tarts and Twinkies and frozen pizza. And I had a pet owner, the dog with cancer, and I found out when she was getting an ice cream sandwich, every night she was giving one to the dog. Like an ice cream sandwich. And it's like, whoa, dogs aren't supposed to have those. Like, that's the human food that dogs aren't supposed to eat. But guess what? That's also not human food. Right. People aren't supposed to eat those either.
Yeah. So we do stupid things sometimes. And I bought a box. I wanted ice cream, and we usually buy good ice cream, or I make it. But we bought a box, that has, I don't even remember what they're called. The cones with the ice cream and the chocolate shell.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Drumsticks, right?
Yep.
I bought a box. Somebody left the freezer door open and all the shit melted. But it showed my kid how disgusting they were because like
it didn't melt.
separated. And so
Oh.
like you had all of this oil and nastiness, and like and I think we had all eaten like one out of it.
Yeah.
She's never asked again after seeing it. She's like, "Oh, we're never eating that again." I was like, "Right on." That's sad for me because I'm gonna have to make it. But
It's so much better though. So much better for you.
Yeah.
And we try to make the healthier choices. Like I don't eat the ice cream or anything like that. Our daughter does a lot of baking. She bakes things from scratch and makes stuff. And when we go to events or there's something happening, I just don't. I feel worse if I were to eat some like Dreyer's ice cream in the morning. I feel like I'm hungover.
Yeah.
Because of it, like because my body's just not used to it anymore.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Agreed.
Leading by example. So. All right, Tony, we're 5 minutes over our time here, but hey,
we're gonna go.
Great conversation.
Yeah, good talking to you. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Yeah, if you like what we're doing, please go to WTPWA.com and donate. We are still running ads. It's $5 a day in ads. So if you could get on a recurring donation or drop in $100 one time or do something to help us out, we appreciate your support. We're going to be having some more guests on as well, talking about some cool stuff, what's going on in other states as far as we the people. And then we're going to be working on planning our convention coming up here shortly next year as well. So we'll be working on that.
Tuesday is our Zoom call that we do at 6:00, and I will definitely be adding that. So if anybody wants to come to that and find out a little more in depth about what we are actually doing, and then we are still trying to put together, I think that we'll come down to Long Beach, down to the Long Beach area sometime in December for a meetup. And then, if anybody wants to let us know where you're at, we're happy to go. I'm happy to go pretty much anywhere. Once a month, we'd really like to do get-togethers. So I think January we'll stay Tacoma, Puyallup area. And then after that, bring it on.
Awesome.
So,
all right. Well, thanks so much, Tony.
All right. Have a good night.
Yep, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.